organised, violent thuggery, and it has no place on our streets or online.
For more protest and counter-protest,
calls for deportations and fear-mongering.
Because we're trapped and terrified.
Border and Coast Guard ships pick them up and take them to England, where they can apply for asylum.
Our country is being torn apart. Swarms of boats crossing the channel to steal our jobs and then be lazy and reap all the benefits, hell-bent on replacing us all with criminals who hate our culture, value only destruction, and are determined to create a foreign state on this very soil. And it's all happening right now. Or is it? If you listen to major parties out there or trends on social media, you can find this language everywhere. This isn't anything new. Blaming outsiders for our problems is much easier to understand and accept than looking at the real causes and possible changes to fix them. But are any of these things true? And is there anything we can do to make it better? Firstly, where are these people coming from? From what you would read in the news, millions of people want to come to this country and they are getting here illegally by jumping on small boats and then storming the shores in uncountable numbers. But that is not exactly true. Last year, we had roughly 948,000 enter for long-term immigration and 517,000 leave for long-term emigration. Now, from what you would see in the news, the majority of that would be small boat entries, right? Not even close. The majority were students, work visas, family visas, with irregular migration only in at about 44,000, of which about 84% were small boats. Okay, so that 37,000 were all people coming here illegally then, right? No. Of that 37,000, 95% claimed asylum or are dependents on asylum claims, the majority of which are accepted as valid claims. And even then, they may not stay here after acceptance, so they may not stay here permanently. This is a tiny fraction of the immigration numbers and an even smaller percentage of the overall UK population. Hardly an invasion. Now, I will say these numbers are rough estimates as we're using immigration numbers and comparing them to visas allocated. So we can't say for sure each visa allocated then become a long-term resident, but it does give an idea of the scale of each type of immigration. Now you might say, okay, it's not that many people coming in this way, but they are still breaking the law, therefore they're all criminals. Well, not exactly. It's entirely legal under both international and UK law to enter a country to then claim asylum. In fact, you often have to enter a country or present at a border to claim asylum. So if there's no legal route in or border to arrive at, how else are you supposed to do it? But they commit more crime when they're here, no? Well, no, not really. There's no evidence that supports that claim that people seeking asylum are more likely to commit crime than the UK general population. And anyone saying they do is just straight up bullshitting. I mean, they're using outdated data and extrapolating existing data that doesn't really support shit. Crime is mostly influenced by socioeconomic factors, not race, religion, immigration status. That's ridiculous. So if they're coming over and not doing crimes, then they must be taking all our jobs and benefits instead then. Now this is a classic one.
They took our jobs! Yeah, they're down, took our jobs!
The amount of jobs is not a fixed amount. We can create more jobs. Businesses will have more customers and the government will have more taxpayers. It's not a loss to grow the workforce. Do you think a company having more customers and more employees is doing worse off?
Well, they took our jobs! They took your jobs! They took your jobs too!
When they come here, they want to work, but our processing of applications is so slow, they have to wait in limbo until their application is approved. They can't work, they can't freely move around. If you want them working towards our society, then allow them and invest in making more jobs for everyone. And no, these people don't get free houses or unlimited benefit handouts. Our system is actually far stricter than other European countries, and if that's all they wanted, why would they make an effort to come here? People who come here want a better life. When they pay into the system like the rest of us do, then why shouldn't they enjoy the benefits when they need them? Now, maybe all these numbers and legal jargon don't really matter to you, and you're more worried about culture and values. You know, like the vibe is off. But what are the UK values? What culture do you think is being taken away? Now, culture changes all the time everywhere you go. It's not static anywhere and never has been. This country alone has changed immensely over the decades and centuries, and that's not a bad thing. Whether it's food, music, language, religion, fashion, politics, all have changed and evolved over time, and that's normal. Nothing is stopping you from living the way you want, and they shouldn't. But to pretend things will remain the same forever is just ridiculous. A country's values are a little subjective and vague, perfect for an excuse to exclude people without saying the quiet part out loud. They can be what people believe in, what they think is right or wrong, what they prioritize in life. These things also evolve over time, but nobody can just come in and change these things, and they're not trying to. And this kind of rhetoric leads to a more invasive theory that is trying to take on, particularly online, and that's great replacement theory. It uses fear of outsiders to imply people, usually white people, are being replaced by incoming immigration and population changes. But they aren't being replaced, they aren't going anywhere. Just because people are joining an area doesn't mean a white genocide is happening, because the percentage is slightly lower than it was before. Those people still exist in that area and they're able to live the way they want to. Nothing's being taken away, only added. How can that be an issue? All of these fears and propaganda will lead to ideas of mass deportation and eventually ethnic cleansing. If you tell people they're suffering because of an outsider group coming in, they will start to think removing them will fix everything. We are seeing this in America already. ICE agents in the dead of night knocking down doors and dragging people into vans. This is how it starts. And it's not how it ends. Mass deportation is cruel, it damages the economy, damages the community, and won't fix anything they claim it will. You're not struggling to make ends meet because some poor guy coming over on a boat wants to live here. It never was, it never will be. Deporting people will not fix crime, it will not fix the economy, and it will not make culture the way you want it, but they want you to think that it will. Immigration is normal and a benefit for the country as long as we utilize it properly. We need safe, legal routes into the country, clearing the backlog of applications, and making the system fast and efficient. If there are safe and legal routes, they will not pay to come over on small boats. They can be easily processed, quickly given jobs, and places to stay. We've seen this with the safe and legal routes for Ukraine. These people aren't coming over on small boats because they had a process they could follow to get here and integrate safely. These people can then start paying into the system. They also get to enjoy. It can be a win-win for everyone. Economic growth, social diversity, and protection for asylum seekers. Don't fall into their trap of blaming your struggles on someone else who is also just trying to get by. Who really has all the money? Who really has all the power? And why might they want you to blame others rather than seeing the truth of who is to blame for this?